Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another exciting episode of Trigger Warning Radio. I am your host, the Kaiju Conservative. So there's been an interesting development in the whole Judge Kavanaugh nomination process, shit show, drama, whatever you want to call it. And that is that it appears that some leftist groups have filed ethics complaints directly relating from his testimony last week during the Kavanaugh Ford hearing. Now, these ethics complaints, they cover a wide range of topics, including at least one that alleges that Judge Kavanaugh lied about not sexually assaulting Dr. Christine Ford during his testimony. And we all know what the purpose of these things is, folks. We know the purpose is to delay. It's not even clear whether or not Judge Kavanaugh would even be affected by these ethics complaints, because during his testimony he was not acting as a judge. He was merely acting as a nominee who just happens to be a judge. But of course, the goal is going to be to delay things, as long as possible. Now the narrative is going to become, now that the sexual assault allegations are completely falling apart, and the FBI, once again, is likely to turn up absolutely nothing, the narrative is going to be, well, he's got all these ethics complaints against him. We can't possibly vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh when he's got all these ethics charges and all of this stuff. We need to let this play out and delay his nomination or find somebody else. That's what the narrative is going to become over the next couple of weeks, especially if we start to see the whole sexual assault thing implode even further than it already is. Now, what sort of punishment would Judge Kavanaugh face if he was found to be guilty of these ethics charges? Well, there's not really a whole lot that the judiciary can do. I mean, they can go ahead and the D.C. Circuit Court, where Judge Kavanaugh is, they can go ahead and give him a reprimand in private. They can give him a public reprimand. They can suspend him from hearing cases, or if it's extremely serious, they can refer him to the House of Representatives for impeachment proceedings. Of course, the federal judiciary cannot remove judges them itself. That's something that only Congress can do, and I'm sure if Democrats gain control of Congress, that's going to be the first thing that they try to do, is get rid of Judge Kavanaugh completely and put the final nail in the coffin of his career. Now, the interesting thing about these ethics charges isn't necessarily the fact that they've been brought. Like I said, this is something that we knew was going to happen. The left is pulling out, all the stops to try and delay Kavanaugh and destroy his chances at getting confirmed, using every tool that they possibly can, and this is just one of those tools. The interesting thing, though, is who would be in charge of overseeing these ethics complaints. Now, I told you that Judge Kavanaugh was a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. That's where these ethics complaints have been filed. And guess who is in charge of the D.C. Circuit Court? Well, none other than Chief Judge Merrick Garland. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, and it should if you've spent any time at all listening to any of my podcasts, Merrick Garland, of course, is President Obama's Supreme Court nominee. He's the nominee that Obama put forth in the last couple of years of his term, who was, of course, stonewalled completely by the Republicans, and his nomination ended up expiring when President Trump won the election and the new Congress was seated, essentially. So we have right here ethics complaints filed by leftists, frivolous ethics complaints filed by leftists against one of President Trump's nominees for the Supreme Court that are going to be decided by the former nominee to the Supreme Court, the one who Republicans torpedoed his nomination, Merrick Garland. And I'm sure that's purely coincidental, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if these ethics charges do go anywhere, and again, I'm not expecting them to go anywhere at all. And in fact, if Judge Kavanaugh is confirmed, they will not go anywhere, since the Supreme Court is not affected by this sort of thing. They have their own their own way of dealing with any ethics charges. But this is going to crop up a whole lot in the media. I would say starting probably starting probably next week or so, depending on what happens with the Kavanaugh nomination, and it is going to be openly talked about that this is going to be Merrick Garland's chance for revenge. You know, this is going to be the chance for him to ruin the judicial aspirations of the nominee of one of his enemies. Essentially, this may not be how Merrick Garland sees it now. I'm hoping that as a judge, even though he was nominated by Barack Obama, even though he seems like he's pretty hard left in a lot of his opinions, I'm hoping that Merrick Garland is serious about his job and is able to recuse himself from this, or is able to look at it with an objective eye. My personal preference would be that he recuses himself from this. You know. But, you know, today being what it is, and today's political climate, and the way that Democrats and the left have gone completely insane, I'm not expecting any sort of objectivity on the part of Merrick Garland at all. I think if he does get a hold of this, we are going to see this being used as a revenge tool, certainly by the Democrats, probably by Merrick Garland as well. And I think he's probably going to recommend the harshest punishment possible, whether probably not referring for impeachment, especially if the blue wave fizzles out like I'm expecting it to, and a lot of people are expecting it to. But I think we will definitely have a very public rebuke of Judge Kavanaugh, probably confirming what all Democrats and leftists know, that he did sexually assault Christine Blasey Ford, that the evidence says exactly that, and that he lied during his hearing, or was at the very least untruthful, or hiding the truth, or didn't tell the whole story. You know, whatever colorful euphemism you want to throw in there. So anyway, pay attention to this one, folks. Let's see how it plays out, because this is where it's going to get interesting. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think it's a good thing that Merrick Garland's going to be presiding over these ethics charges? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think these ethics charges are just going to fizzle out and die on the vine? Let me know in that comment section below. As always, if you liked what you heard, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Both those things help me out, and I will see you all next time.